From Social Cohesion and Community Safety Overview and Scrutiny Committee. The indicative time for consideration of this item is 30 minutes. Could I ask those of you who wish to speak on this item to press their speak button so that you will be shown on the list on my screen. I call on Councillor Waseem Zaffar. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'd like to start by thanking the councillors involved in this inquiry, Councillors Barry, Eva Phillips, Roberts and Walkling, and the officers Rebecca Short, Iram Chowdhury, Ruth Mugabe and Emma Williamson. It was a big job and they've done it brilliantly. I also want to thank everyone across the city who contributed. The level of public interest and participation has been encouraging, and people not only in Birmingham but across the UK have joined in the debate. We heard evidence that people from 187 countries have made Birmingham their home since 2007. This is unique for a city of our size and tells its own story. Our challenge is to find ways of making us all feel that we belong here, whether we've lived here all our lives or recently arrived. The central task of social cohesion is to confront inequality. As Chris Game has recently demonstrated, this is the second most unequal city in the second most unequal country in Europe, and that is not the kind of second city we want to be. The council leadership clearly knows this and addressed it in the leaders' policy statement last summer. The council's role in reducing inequality so that we can live in real peace together is the main focus of this report. It's easy to dismiss some of the issues covered in this report as too abstract. Identity, affiliation, sense of belonging, sense of place. These can sound vague and unreal compared to the more obvious concrete elements of concern: housing, education, employment, healthcare. In fact, the two strands are inextricable. Who we are, how we feel, what we stand for, what it means to be a Brummie, all are both determined by the harder variables that are more easily recognised as the stuff of politics, but also, in their turn, determine them. It's important that we have a city where everyone has a stake, a city where prosperity is shared, where we have a shared destiny, a sense of shared endeavour and a common life that we lead together. For generations, new people have arrived in Birmingham, often seeking sanctuary from oppression, and have worked hard to build a new life, and they have contributed enormously to this city. Lord Mayor, this report recommends that we explore gaining City of Sanctuary status. I was surprised to learn other cities up and down this country have acquired this status, yet we, more than most of them, are in practice a City of Sanctuary. We heard from a group working with the Eastern European communities that they feel invisible, yet they're among the fastest growing here in Birmingham. How are we going to make them visible and give them a stake? When I met them last week, they told me that they think a high proportion of Bulgarians and Romanians entering our country later this year will also end up in Birmingham. Why? Because of our friendly and welcoming reputation, because that's who we are. So are we ready for these new citizens? We often hear about a stake in society, but what does it mean? The Olympics last year were a huge success for this country, and most of all, it was the 70,000 games makers who carried the flag. They put a mirror up to Britain and showed us the best of ourselves. We are recommending the reintroduction of ambassadors here in Birmingham. Volunteers from across Birmingham of all communities helping promote and educate others about our city, making a contribution and thus having a stake. The largest ethnic group in Birmingham is the white British community, many of whom feel angry and alienated. We learned that the Council's Social Cohesion Forum lacks white British representation. This clearly has to change if we're serious about integration. On the other hand, most top managers in even major arts organisations across Birmingham are white, although arts are where you'd expect the most diversity in this very diverse city. Again, we have to strive with our partners to see what representative organisations in Birmingham are as reflective as possible. And I repeat, strive, because in a city which attracts communities of all sizes and backgrounds, balanced representation will always be a challenge. And that includes our largest single employer, the City Council itself. In the words of Professor Carl Chin, without a past, we cannot have a future. History is not just about what happened long ago, it's about now. Without it, we have no sense of identity. Recently, I have worked with people in Lazals and Handsworth to explore the history of the neighbourhood that I was born in, schooled, and today represent in this chamber. I was astonished to learn about St Mary's Church, where the Lunar men met hundreds of years ago, the Fusion-built church on Hunters Road, and the Handsworth Council House, where Southend City College Birmingham is based today. In an area which is always fighting negative perceptions, we're now working to promote our history and heritage through the development of a heritage centre that will profile the journeys of those diverse communities that have come, gone and stayed in the past 40, 50 years. We need to replicate this across the city, and we need to start in our schools. I'm delighted our executive has supported the recommendations to develop Brummie History Week. There's been great support from all sectors. I've heard from educationalists, historians and ordinary Brummies who are willing to support the Council to pull together a resource pack that can be disseminated across our schools. We're also encouraged that our recommendation for schools to take up training is being heard. There are schools in Birmingham where the makeup is over 90% of one particular ethnic group. This obviously cannot support integration within a diverse city, so we're recommending that schools be trained, enabling pupils to meet, learn and understand the various cultures that exist within the city. The children will learn more about what they have in common than what is different about them. And that, Lord Mayor, simply that, should be the lesson for us all. Let's celebrate what we share and share it more fairly. I have pleasure moving this report to Council.
Thank you. Can I call on